Hi, everybody. Before I do our last haul of the weekend, because we did another shopping run, I have to tell you, I don't normally do this, but I had such a crazy experience with the estate sale that we went to this weekend that I just have to say something. And we go to a lot of estate sales. So it's not like we don't do this all the time. We do this. But this one was completely different from anything we've been to before. And it started yesterday. We went there later in the afternoon, and it was a huge house. I feel like I might have said this in the other video, the whole video I did show. There was this big, big, big house with all these crazy, like almost hidden rooms. It was really nutty. And there was just, it was like a hoarder house. We've never seen so much stuff, but it was nice stuff. I mean, very nice stuff. Lots of it. Especially Christmas and decorator items. The person was crazy about the Nutcracker and Wizard of Oz. So there was all this Nutcracker, Wizard of Oz plates and cups and things and everything. So the company had everything marked um, with prices that I thought were a little bit higher than I like. So yesterday I was in there and I did what I always do, which is I grabbed a bunch of things and I put them in my shopping bag. I bought a bunch of Walter Foster art books, which I looked up on Amazon and saw they were selling for like $55, which was like, wow, I know Walter Foster art books are good, but this was really good. But then I find that this happens a lot with the Amazon app. It led me to the one rare person who thought this was a rare item. There was another listing where these books were $1.50. So that was the problem. And then somewhere in transit, the books also got damaged. I'm not sure whose fault that was. One of the books got damaged, really damaged. And I ended up buying a book I didn't want to buy that was stuck in between the other books. And again, you could say this was my fault, but what ended up happening was, so I filled the bag with a bunch of stuff, and I threw in a lot of little weird little tchotchkes, like, not tchotchkes, but like house stuff, like tape. Like they had all this magic tape. Normally, most estate sales, look at the bag I'm carrying, look in the bag and say $5 for the bag, $3 for the bag. But no, this estate sale wanted to price out every individual little item. So first of all, it took forever to check out. There was a huge long line, which I've also hardly ever had to stand in a big long line to check out. But because they were counting every individual little tiny item, and then they didn't, some items they didn't know the prices of, and it was a thing. So my husband found a turntable that he wanted to buy, and he was going back and forth, back and forth. They wanted $40 for it, which was a good price. But he doesn't need another turntable. But he really wanted it. And we were going back and forth because they were also being particular about how much you had to spend to use a credit card. And we didn't have that much cash on us. But I thought, well, if she makes me a deal, on the $5 bag of stuff, then we're good. No. So she's counted everything up. And then I don't know what happened, but then she recounted things, and there was some kind of mistake. And somehow, this is where I said this extra book got put into my stuff, which I didn't want to pay for. I didn't know about until I got home. And then he didn't buy the turntable, but in the end, it came out to like $69, which is a lot. I don't spend that at an estate sale. And we did get a big box of train things, so it should pay for that. But I got home and I started recalculating, and it was not right. I don't know. I swear it should not have been that high. But, I figured whatever, the box of trains, there was some stuff in there I didn't know was in there. We should get the money back, no big deal. So today was half price day. But not half price day, half price 2 hours. Again, I've never seen this. Usually in a estate sale, everything the second day, half price. No. So we went over. They were supposed to start half price at 1 o'clock. So we went over a little after 12, about 12, figuring we'd get there about 12:30, kind of scope out what we wanted, then get in line around 1. No. They closed the doors and lined people up outside at 12:30 for the 1 o'clock opening for the half price sale. Again, I've never seen this before in my life. Huge long line. It was hot today. It wasn't hot yesterday, of course. It was hot today. Although there were 2 really lovely ladies in line with us that made it very enjoyable. We had a great conversation with. They had both been there also the day before and had scoped out some things. Now, mainly we went back because half price day, Lars wanted to buy his turntable. But I thought, we're going to stand in line for half an hour. And then we don't know if they're going to let everybody in. They might just let a few people in at a time. And that turntable could be gone. They've been open all day. Whatever. Well, he had it. He had put it aside, and there had been a label on it saying hold for customer. So we were hoping that it was still being held for customer. So we ended up waiting the half hour. They decided to let everybody in at the same time. He goes straight to where he left the turntable. Not there. He was like going to lose it. But then he thought, let me go check where I found it originally. And he went into the living room, and sure enough, they had put it back on the shelf. And incredibly, no one had bought it, even though they had been open all day. And this was crowded. Like, I'm not kidding. This was the most crowded estate sale I've ever seen. But I think most people were there looking at the china because there was so much really high end. I'm sure you could flip it for a lot of money china, but I don't do china. I don't care how much money I could make on it. I can't store it. Can't deal with it. So he found his turntable. I, in the meantime, went back to the Christmas ornament room, which is what I wanted in the first place. There were huge boxes, those big plastic bins of nutcracker, little wooden nutcracker ornaments. So I grabbed the whole bin. Now, they had originally wanted $1 a piece for these little wooden nutcrackers. But I'm thinking, even at half price, 50 cents a piece, but there had to be 100 of them in the bin. Plus, it was a bunch of other miscellaneous ornaments. So I put it all in the bin, and then he took the bin up to the man and said, how much if we just buy the whole bin? And they're like, you can't buy the whole bin. We have to count them and 50 cents a piece. I'm like, are you nuts? Like, first of all, you have a house full of people that are trying to buy things. Do you really going to take the time to count every one of these to make sure you get the right amount of money? Like, any other estate sale we've been at would have just said, 25 for the whole box, take it. It was the last day, take it. And the house was still full of stuff. So he brings the box back to me, and in the meantime, I found, I don't have one here to show you, I'll show you in a whole video, these Smithsonian nutcracker ornaments, big figures, like this tall. And there were these Wizard of Oz figures, and I had both of those in the bag, thinking I was going to buy all this stuff. So he comes back and says, we have to count them. And I'm like, forget it. I'm like, it's just not worth it. This is crazy. So at that point, I had looked up the Smithsonian figures and found out that they flip for a good $20, $25 a piece. Well, they had them marked at $2. They were half price, so $1 each. The Wizard of Oz, the Kurt Adler Wizard of Oz's, those were marked at $5. They would have been $2.50 each, but they did not have a full set left. That's the other thing that made me hesitate. She did have a full set. She had 2 full sets of the Nutcracker figures, but only the 3, Cowardly Lion, Tin Man, and the Scarecrow, which isn't too bad, of the Wizard of Oz's. So I considered taking those, but those still would have been almost what? What am I? I've lost track. 5, 8. They would have been almost $10 for the couple of Wizard of Oz's. And for the same $10, I could have gotten 10 of the Nutcrackers, and I felt like they were a better buy. So I made a box, and I took all of the Nutcrackers. And I even had somebody come in and say to me, oh, what is that you're hoarding? Like, I wasn't even going to take them all at first, because I always feel like I should leave some for somebody else. And at that point, I was like, forget it. I'm taking them all. Because I'm telling you, people were crazy in this sale. They were just grabbing up stuff. It was like Black Friday. So I packed them all in a box. And then, so I had this big box, and I had the bag on my arm. And I gave my husband the box and said, can you take this up front and put it with the record player on the hold table? Now, the man had even said before we walked in, if you have big things, put them on the hold table with a hold sign, and people who are shopping, do not touch other people's stuff on the hold table. So I keep shopping. He goes back, he puts them on hold, he goes off to do something else. Tells me later that while he happened to be passing through where the checkout, there was a woman buying our box of ornaments. She was paying for them. And he walked up and said, and I'm surprised he did because he's not really aggressive like this. He walked up and said, oh, excuse me, but those are ours. Did you get them off that table? And she said, oh, yeah. And he goes, well, that's the hold table. See the big pink signs? Those are things that are on hold for people. And she's like, oh, I didn't know. Well, literally, if he'd walked by 5 minutes later, she would have bought them. And we would have come back to get our stuff, and they would have been completely gone. And I don't understand this. Now they're saying, well, the pink tag wasn't on top of it. Well, it didn't matter. The whole table had a big pink sign in the front that said, "This is a hold table. These are on hold for people who are buying them. Do not take things off this table." And she walked right up and took it off the table. So we got them back. Oh, this video is getting long. Anyway, in the end, what ended up happening is, so now we've still got all this craziness, all these people going. They set up this little station to ring people up in this tiny little corner right in the walkway of the front door and everything else. So I'm standing there with the big box. He's got the turntable, all these things, adding up the price, adding up the price, adding up the price. And it's wrong. And this time I got it. Like yesterday I didn't get it, but today I did. And she told me the total and I said, that's not correct. I mean, it's like way more than it should be. And guess what? She double checked the total and it was $10 more plus tax. So it was $11 more than I was supposed to pay. 11. Like that's a lot in the estate sale, $11. And I know I paid at least $5 too much yesterday. So that's kind of an interesting coincidence that both days I got overcharged. And she was, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, you know. And then, of course, was another hold to do because I wanted to put it on a charge card, and they don't like to do charge cards unless you spend $100, even though yesterday they took my charge card when we didn't spend $100. I don't know. Crazy. In the end, and it sounds like I'm just complaining and whining, in the end, we did get some cool things, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. But I just have to say, it was the craziest estate sale I've ever been at, and maybe we're spoiled by the fact that we go to places that bargain, especially on the last day. They want to move the merchandise, and so they're happy to sell you an entire box. I'm not saying they should give me things for $1, but when you've got a house full of stuff and 10 people in line trying to give you money on a hot California afternoon, do you really want to stand there and count 100 little figures and add them up? Or do you want to sell the box, $25 in your pocket, I'm out the door, you get on to the next person? That's all I'm saying. So Frankie and I are going to go through everything we bought and hopefully find enough to recoup, because I spent more this weekend than I normally spend on an estate sale, a single estate sale. So I'm hoping I didn't go wrong too badly. I know I went wrong in a couple places. And I will make another haul video shortly to show you what I did get, because again, I got some really weird stuff, but hopefully good stuff. Okay? If you hit estate sale, tell me about your estate sale experiences. Is what we experienced today the norm for you? Or is it something different? I'd love to know.